welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Sigrid and I make videos about books because I love them. Today I'm going to be doing my very first unhaul video, and because I've never done one before, I probably have over 100 books, if not more, to show you guys in this video. So I'm going to try my best to organize this based on genre. However, like, they're just piled up around me. So, I mean, if something gets, disorganized, please forgive me. So first up, we have my nonfiction books. The first book I'm getting rid of is the Malcolm X autobiography. I've watched the movie. I've watched pretty much every documentary as I can imagine for Malcolm X, and I just feel like I'm just not gonna get to this. So I'm gonna get rid of this. I will be getting rid of my Gabrielle Union books. I went to a showing for this book and I got this copy and I ended up rereading this one. I read this before and then I read it again last year. 5 stars both times. It is 5 stars. This new one I actually read as well, gave it 4 stars. It was really good. She's a really good author. It's just at the end of this book she started to throw in random historical facts and I just got a little confused by that. So yeah, but I really do like the books. However, I don't see myself reading it a 3rd time, so yeah. Next up we have Will by Will Smith. I read this book, absolutely loved it, gave it 5 stars. However, I did listen to the audiobook, and that's how I would recommend for this book to be consumed, audibly. There's so much more that you get from the audiobook than you would physically reading it, that you would be doing yourself a disservice if you were to physically read this book. There's no point in having it. It's narrated by Will Smith. He literally raps, he sings, there's music in the audiobook. What more can I say? It's a perfect book, but I don't see myself actually rereading it physically. If I wanted to ever reread it, I would just listen to it. Next up, we have a Rachel Hollis book. I haven't heard anything good about any of Rachel's books. And so my interest in this book is just completely faded, so I just want to get rid of it. Next up, we have one of my favorite self-help books. It's called He's Not That Into You. It's one of my favorite movies as well. I really loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars. However, I don't see myself rereading it in 2022. I just feel like it's a little outdated. So I will be donating this one as well. Finally, you guys, okay, I can explain. I absolutely adore, love the Obamas, okay? I have read Becoming. I gave it 5 stars. However, I will not be reading Barack's book. It's a chunker. And Barack is, it's gonna read like a textbook. I love Barack, but his books, no. I feel like I can love them without reading their books. So for Becoming, I actually listened to the audiobook, and that's how I would recommend for it to be consumed. It's narrated by Michelle Obama, so why would you not? I feel like this is a case of me not being true to myself. Honestly, I'm not someone who reads a lot of nonfiction. That's not what my interest is. I like thrillers, I like fantasy, I like YA, and I would get nonfiction books because I feel like I either want to impress people or I want to try something new and it's not genuine. And so I'm getting rid of it because Barack's book was gonna just collect dust. It was not gonna be used. It was not gonna be read. But Becoming was a really amazing book, but I don't see myself rereading it. If I wanted to, I would listen to it again because I thought it was amazing the first time. Okay, so that was my nonfiction books. I do have a few books that I am a little iffy about whether I want to get rid of them, so I'm going to go over these. It's only 4. So I have the illustrated edition of Sherlock Holmes. I got this for 10 bucks from Barnes & Noble. I really like it. I mean, it's so pretty. Honestly, I'm leaning towards keeping it and putting it on my classic shelf. I don't know. Then I have this edition of Villette from Charlotte Bronte. I got this from Pango because I ordered another book from a seller and they had a shipping discount if you were to purchase a certain amount. So I added this as like a filler item to reach that threshold. I have no idea what this book is about. I know it's a classic, but I haven't heard of this one. I don't think it's one of her popular works. And then, so you guys don't know this, but I'm getting rid of my Nancy Drew collection later on in this video. So this was part of my Nancy Drew collection. So it's called How Nancy Drew Saved My Life. I could see myself still reading this one. It's just Nancy Drew. I feel like I've outgrown it. I am 31 years old. I don't see myself rereading Nancy Drew, and I really wanted to keep that like nostalgia, but like it takes up a lot of space in my book room, and so I had to make that sacrifice. I don't know if I want to get rid of this one. I feel like I can definitely read this one. And finally, we have They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I read this already. Absolutely loved it. I don't know why people hate this book. I loved it. I cried at the end. I literally read this book expecting for them not to die at the end, even though the title says they both die at the end. However, there's a prequel coming out, which I've already pre-ordered, and I think I want to reread this one before reading that one. So I'm leaning more towards keeping this one as well. Okay, so next up we're going to get into my limited edition signed books from book boxes. Okay, so first up I have House of Salt and Sorrows. I believe this is from Beacon. Yes, this one is from Beacon. I think it might be signed. Yes, it is signed. So there's quite a bit of these, so I'm just gonna say a generic, I read the summary, or I haven't heard good things about it, or it's just no longer interests me. Those are my reasons as for why I'm getting rid of these. So I'm just gonna name them now. Next up we have This Splintered Silence. I think this one is also from Beacon, but I'm not sure. We have These Feathered Flames, The Key to Fear, Saul Kill Girls. This one I did go back and forth, but ultimately I decided to get rid of it. Realm Breaker. This was another one that I went back and forth about because I have heard good things about it. However, I don't think that this is necessarily the fantasy that I want to read. I don't like swords or anything like that in my fantasy, so I'm just gonna pass this on to someone who would appreciate it more. Also, The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. I just don't have an interest. Yeah. Next up we have The Seventh Son. I did not want to get rid of this, but like I just don't think I'm gonna read it. Next up we have Lore by Alexander Bracken. I actually did read this, and I think I gave it 3 stars. When compared to her other series, The Darkest Minds, this one definitely fell short for me, and so I feel like there's no point of me keeping a special edition copy of it, despite how beautiful it is. Next up we have No Tomorrow by Carrie & Cole. I believe this was either a Belle or a Mystic box, but after reading the summary, I just decided that I don't think I want to read this. Then we have Beast of Prey by Ayana Gray. I think I might put this in the maybe pile. I have the hardcover of this already, and also the sequel to this, but I just love a good paperback, and it's so like, I'm gonna put this in my maybe pile. Next up we have We All Fall Down. I actually mentioned this in another book subscription unboxing. I think it was the Battle of the Fantasy unboxing. This is a book that has been part of a lot of controversy because it is a white character who accuses a black character, well, frames a black character for murder in this book, and they are subjected to police brutality because of that. And I just feel like I didn't like that, and a lot of other people say that it's just not a good plot to do that to. So honestly, I have no interest in reading this because of that. I also want to mention that I did get a comment on one of my videos when I did talk about this book, and someone said, would it be okay if it was a white character that was being blamed? And I did not respond, so now I'm going to take a moment to respond because of that. Like I said earlier, the black character is subjected to police brutality, which is something that is affecting the black community in the real world. So to use that in a fantasy setting, I just don't think that's okay. And if it was a white character being blamed, that would just make it part of the plot. It's not something that is affecting white people as much as it's affecting black people as a whole. It's not okay to blame someone or frame someone for murder. However, these are fictional stories, but because we have that history with police brutality, it's just not a good plot device for a story. Okay, Fire with Fire. This looks so good, but like I don't think I'm gonna get to it, so I'm gonna get rid of this. Yes, our time has come to an end with V.E. Schwab. I love V.E. Schwab, and I really actually love this book. This is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I did read this book. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was amazing. However, I don't see myself rereading this book. it's just going to sit on my shelf and waste space. And so I think that I want this to go to someone else who is going to enjoy this book for the first time as well. Next up, we have The Rogue King by Abigail Owen. I think this is a signed edition. I think this would be like considered a paranormal or romantasy. I'm not really sure, but part of me kind of wants to keep it now. Oh, I know why I got rid of it. It has dragons in it. I don't like dragons in a book. I'm sorry. I'm weird. I know. It's a no for me. Then we have Blessed Monsters by Emily A. Duncan. I recently found out that this is not the first book in a series. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is book 3. I don't have book 1 or 2. I don't know how I got this book, but like, I'm not gonna get the other books just to read this, so I'm gonna give this away. Next up, we have Crown Chasers. I believe this also came from a Beacon box. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it came from a Beacon box when I was subscribed to them. It sounded interesting when I got it. However, I've had this for probably over a year and I still haven't read it, so the time is up. Like, I'm not going to. Part of me died when I decided to get rid of this because it has pink sprayed edges. I love this book so much. However, I don't think I'm gonna, it makes no sense for me to keep this book just because it's pink when I'm not interested in the overall plot of the story. So yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this, but just know it is one of the most beautiful books that I've seen. Then we have Jade Fire Gold by June C.O. Tan. Once again, I'm not a fan of swords, so yeah, I feel like, yeah, that's a ridiculous reason to get rid of books, but I just feel like I'm going to lose interest, so I would rather this go to someone who is into swords and things of that nature. So next up we have Iron Widow. Same issue here. I don't have an interest in this. I feel like this is the type of fantasy that I'm not really that interested in. Then we have The Ivory Key by Akshara Raman. I actually have the paperback of this and I decided to keep the paperback edition because it is gorgeous. I think the paperback came in an Illumicrate box and it's just so beautiful. This is from Owlcrate. So I decided to keep the paperback because it has sprayed edges. It's just really pretty and I am a fan of paperbacks over hardcover. So getting rid of this. And finally we have The Jasmine Throne. This is a huge book and I'm not gonna get to it. Yeah, I also think that I might have another copy of this, which is probably why I got rid of one. But either way, like, this is a really big book and I just don't see myself reading it. So yeah. Okay, so next up I have decided to get rid of Sophie Kinsella's books. And so Sophie Kinsella was my favorite author growing up. Like as a teen, I used to love chick lit, which is what we would call it back in the day. I think it was more like women's fiction or something like that, but I loved chick lit so bad. I had all of Sophie Kinsella's books, including those written under her pen name. So first up, I'm getting rid of the Shopaholic series. I don't know if you guys have ever watched the movie, but it's really great. However, I don't see myself rereading this. The time has passed. So first up, these are not in order, but Shopaholic Takes Manhattan, Shopaholic to the Rescue, Confessions of a Shopaholic. This is the first book. Christmas Shopaholic. Now I feel like I am going back. You know what? No, I'm gonna get rid of this because I have the ebook of this. I remember buying it, but I remember actually spending $27 on this book. You could literally probably get it somewhere for 12 bucks now, but I got it when it first came out. Shopaholic Ties the Knot, Shopaholic and Sister. I think this one was one of my favorite. We have Mini Shopaholic and Shopaholic and Baby. And then we have some of her standalones. So we have Can You Keep a Secret? I actually just recently watched the movie adaptation of this, but I did see that Mayana Reed actually read this book and she really liked it. Then we have Finding Audrey. I don't know what this one is about, but I think it's YA. Then we have Love Your Life. I Owe You One, and The Undomestic Goddess. I believe I actually read this as a teenager, but I don't remember what it's about. And finally, we have her books written under her pen name, Madeline Wicken. So we have The Wedding Girl, The Gatecrasher, Sleeping Arrangements, and Cocktails for Three. So now I'm going to go over the rest of my books in this category. So we have The Lost Apothecary. I read this. I thought it was amazing. I gave it 5 stars, but I don't see myself rereading it, which is why I'm getting rid of it. I have this arc called The Silent Treatment. I believe I won it in a Goodreads giveaway, but I just haven't gotten to it since I've received it, and it's already probably out. So yeah, I'm not gonna read it. Then we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I got rid of all of my historical fiction books. Well, I got rid of most of them unless I was genuinely excited about it, but I got rid of all of my Kristen Hanna book. Her covers just look boring to me, and I don't want to read them. So The Nightingale. I'm getting rid of the henna artist. I also have the second book. I'm getting rid of both of these. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I have a hardcover and then I have a paperback for the same series. It drives me insane. But also, I just feel like I didn't genuinely want this book. I got it because of recommendations from booktubers who actually like historical fiction. And so, yeah, I don't think I will enjoy this series. I have another arc. This is Once Upon a Sunset. I haven't gotten to it yet, and I believe I got this a really long time ago, so I'm letting it go. Okay, I have 2 more arcs. I have Perish by Latoya Watkins. I actually am getting rid of this because I have the finished copy as well from this. And then I have The Last Chance Library. I just don't have an interest in reading this one anymore, so getting rid of it. Then I have Do This For Me by Eliza Kennedy, and then I have Hana Khan Carries On. Then I have The Nickel Boys and How to Walk Away by Catherine Sinner. Catherine Sinner, I've never read anything from them, and I feel like I just missed the mark on this, so I'm getting rid of this. And then The Nickel Boys, I feel like it's another type of like non-fiction-y type of thing. This is based on a true story, but I'm just, yeah, it's not my thing. Okay, next up we have Being Audrey Hepburn. I think I got this in a book box. Yeah. I have 2 more books that, like, looking at the covers, you guys know I won't. Like, I knew when I got them that I wasn't going to read them. I don't know why I even put them on my shelf. We have Until Then. This looks incredibly boring to me. And then we have Dangerous Crossing, which looks like a historical fiction, and I'm just not into historical fiction at all. We have Mrs. Everything by Jennifer Weiner? I don't know. We have Sweet Bitter. I remember getting this because it was going to be an adaptation, but now I'm just thinking if it's a really old book, I'm just going to just watch the movie. Then we have Pachinko. I just don't see myself reading this. I got it because I thought I could be a literary girly, but I'm not. Hey, with the same kind of thought process as Kristen Hanna, I'm getting rid of the Ruta Sepetys Salt to Sea book. Yeah, I'm just not going to be a historical fiction girly. I'm sorry. Getting rid of Queenie. I actually read this book before. I think I gave it either 4 or 5 stars. I really liked it, but I'm not going to reread this. I was just keeping it because of no reason. We have another Kristen Hanna book, True Colors. I actually haven't heard good things about this one, so definitely, yeah. We have The Mother. I got this a while back in a book box, and I haven't gotten to it, so I just feel like it needs to go. And finally, we have the final revival of Opal and Nev. Another thing that I've learned about myself is that I don't really like books centered around musicians, so this has to go as well. Okay, you guys, now we're on to my favorite genre, which is thrillers, mysteries. I put them in the same category. So, there are a lot of thrillers that I picked up from thrift stores that I don't really know much about. So I got rid of those, or things that I bought in a sale, or if they were sent in a book box that I just don't know anything about them. And I literally went through each of these and I read the summary. They didn't appeal to me, so I'm getting rid of them. So the first one is The Stranger Behind You. Okay, I can't find all of them right now, but they will come up. I'm getting rid of all of my Chuck Palahniuk books. I read one for an unboxing of Down the Rabbit Hole, which is a thriller subscription box. And then I went to a thrift store and I kept seeing Chuck Palahniuk's books. So I was like, oh, let me just try the rest of their books. I'm not gonna read them. So we have Choke. I'm not gonna read them, okay. Because this is really hard because I like to keep things. I'm a hoarder. We have Doomed. Okay, we have A Study in Charlotte. I think this is a mystery. We have There's Someone Inside Your House. I recently watched the movie, so I feel like reading the book is like a moot point now. And then we have The Game. I've had this for quite some time and I just haven't picked it up, so I'm getting rid of it. We have I Woke Up Dead at the Mall. I remember being so excited to get this in a book box, but I'm not gonna read this. And then we have The Woman in the Dark by Vanessa Savage. I actually did a vlog with this book. I read it. It's amazing, 5 stars, but I don't know if I'm gonna reread it, and I would rather use the space on my bookshelf for books that are new that I'm going to read. We have The Wife and the Widow. This is another like unknown book that I picked up. And then we have The Chain. This is one of my favorite thrillers of all times. 5 stars. If I can give it 6, I would. However, will I reread this book? Probably not. So I'm gonna get rid of it. We have The Other Black Girl. I read this. I gave it 3 stars. I don't think it's as bad as what everyone is saying, but I don't think it's the best thriller. I will not be rereading this. Then we have another favorite thriller of all time, which is You Are Not Alone. This is by my favorite like author duo, Greer Hendricks and Sarah Buchanan. Absolutely love this book. However, I'm freeing up more space on my thriller shelf for more thrillers, and they have a new book out, so yeah. Then we have 9 Perfect Strangers. I'm never gonna read this book, and I think it's a show. It might not be a show yet. I don't know, but I'm not gonna get to it, so yeah. We have The Night We Burned. I don't remember how I got this book, but it could have been in a book box, or it could have been from a thrift store. I'm not really sure. We have The Woman Outside My Door. I lost interest in it. We have The Haunting of Ashbourne House. No. We have Imaginary Friend. I've had this, I actually purchased this from a thrift store. It's an ARC, and I remember being so excited and hearing so many good things about it, but I also heard bad things about it. So I just don't have an interest in reading it anymore. I feel like I've lost it. Like, you know, I feel like the time has passed for me to read this book. Then we have 5-Minute Mysteries. Yeah, this was just a random pick at a thrift store and it needs to go back. Okay, we have The Push. I really, really love this book. I gave it 5 stars. However, I don't think I'm going to be rereading it. I read it as part of a book club pick with my friends, and yeah, I don't see myself rereading it. I did get it because of nostalgia purposes, because it was my first book with them, and that generated us into being best friends. However, I would just cherish the friendship. Next up, we have Hidden Bodies. This is the second book to the You thriller. I DNF'd this book. I hated it so much. I thought You was a 5-star read, but this one was just so unbearable. Actually, I think I might have finished it. I think I finished this and I rated it just 3 stars or 2 stars. It sucks. I hate this book with all of my heart. And then I tried to read the 3rd book and I DNF'd that so much. Like, yeah, so I must have finished this if I tried to read the 3rd book. No. Just watch the show. The show is good. The first book is amazing, but they changed up the, what do you call it when they go, the person, like first person versus 3rd person, like they changed that up and it just didn't work for this series. We have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is one of my favorite YA thrillers of all time. I love the series. I read every single book. I finished the series, so there's no point in me keeping the first book. And also, I have like the 3rd book in hardcover, and you guys know I hate that, so getting rid of this. I have an ARC for Siri, Who Am I? I don't have an interest in reading it anymore. I remember winning this in a Goodreads giveaway. Actually, no, I didn't. I got this from a swap. So, yeah, so I got this from Paperback Swap. It was someone who just swapped it with me. But honestly, I've lost interest. I feel like I've had this for a while and I just haven't picked it up yet, so there's no point. I have I'll Eat When I'm Dead. This is the book that I was excited about when I first got it, but now I haven't picked it up, so it's going. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I DNF'd it temporarily. and then I just decided I don't want to pick it up again. So getting rid of this and getting rid of The Child by Fiona Barton. I am getting rid of The Butterfly Garden by Dawn Hutchinson. This is on Kindle Unlimited, so if I want to pick up the series again, I can read it on there. But also I DNF'd this book, so I wasn't enjoying it. We have another Chuck Palahniuk book. This is Fight Club. This was made into a movie with Brad Pitt. I don't even remember the movie, so I'm not interested. We have The Club. This was an arc as well, and yeah, I'm not interested in it anymore. I've said ARC a lot of times, so if you guys don't know what that is, it's an advanced reader copy. You can win them on Goodreads. Sometimes publisher will send them to, you know, people in the book industry. But also you can trade for them on like certain sites, like Facebook groups. Yeah. We have The Secret Next Door. I Found You by Lisa Jewell. I recently read a book called Then She Was Gone. Hated it. It was 3 stars at the most, and I was being generous. I didn't like it, so I'm not going to try anymore with Lisa Jewell. I'm sorry, it's not an author for me. We have Contaminated, The Dancing Girls. These are books that I picked up at thrift stores and have no idea what they're about. We have The Girl on the Train. I actually just watched the movie, so there's no point of me reading the book anymore. We have another one of my favorite thrillers. This is an anonymous girl. I listened to the audiobook for this, which is how I would recommend it being consumed. And it's just it's such a good thriller, but I'm not going to reread it physically. And we have The Widow by Fiona Barton. We have The Flight Attendant. I think there is an HBO series out about this, so I'll just watch that. I am getting rid of all of my Agatha Christie books because I recently found out that she's racist and I didn't know that. And Then There Were None, and Murder on the Orient Express. Okay, so next up I have You by Caroline Kepnes. I loved it. This is one of my favorite thrillers. I love the show. The show is so much better than the sequel books, but the first book is it's good. It's really good. I recommend the first book and then just stop because it's not worth it. Then I read recently You're Invited. This was a book of the month pick. I think I gave it 4 stars. I'm not really sure, but I think I enjoyed it. I think. Then I have The Innocent Wife. And I have, for some reason, 2 copies of this book that I really didn't even like. This is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I think I had one already, and then I went to the thrift store and I found one and I purchased it because I thought my friend wanted to read it. And I forgot that I had my copy still. But I don't recommend this book. It's definitely not worth the hype. I think I gave it 3 stars at the most. Then we have Valentine. This is a book that I found from a thrift store, and I got it just because it was the Book of the Month edition, because I went through a phase where I was like, ooh, I want all of the Book of the Month editions. I'm not interested in this. And then we have The House on Harbor Hill. Then we have The Cellar by Natasha Preston. I actually read one book by Natasha and I really disliked it. I think I DNF'd it, but it was called You Will Be Mine. I did not like that book at all. I felt like it had a lot of typos in it as well. And I ended up DNFing it. I have The Couple Next Door, The Making of Her, and The Surrogate. Next, we're gonna get into my romance section, which has a lot because I apparently like romance. So there's a lot to get rid of here. Okay, so next up we're going into my romance section. So first I'm going to show you guys the historical fiction books that I will be getting rid of. I went through this phase where I just didn't know what my type of reading was. I didn't know what I was into at first, so I decided to get a whole bunch of historical fiction because I saw a lot of booktubers reading them and I thought I would be into them. And I never gravitated towards them at all. So now I'm getting rid of all of my historical fiction books. So first up, we have Tessa Dare. We have Do You Want to Start a Scandal? We have Lisa Kleypas, Someone to Watch Over Me. I have another Tessa Dare, The Wallflower Wager, The Duchess Deal, and Goddess of the Hunt. We have How the Duke Stole Christmas. This is by Tessa Dare and other authors as well. Heiress for Hire. Lady Sophie's Christmas Wish. The Governess Game by Tessa Dare. My Darling Duke. Another Lisa Kleypas, Suddenly You. Hello Stranger by Lisa Kleypas. I have an ARC. This is Love is Rogue by Lenora Bell. and When a Scot Ties the Knot by Tessa Dare. Okay, so we're gonna get into my other regular romance books. We have this one I got for like $4 on Amazon. It's A Good Excuse to Be Bad by Miranda Parker. I'm never gonna read this, but I thought it was cute. We have Thank You Next by Andy J. Christopher. I actually read this for a Polycon. I think I gave it 3 stars. So I'm getting rid of it. There's no point in keeping a 3-star copy. We have Simmer Down. I believe I got this in a book box. We have All Stirred Up by Brianne Moore. And I got these 3 books from a thrift store. I don't know if there's, like, I haven't heard anything about them, but they're billionaire romance. And I'm not gonna get to them. I have so many other romances to read. So it's Billion Dollar Beast, Billion Dollar Catch, and Billion Dollar Fiance. The Happy Ever After playlist, Pride, which is a Pride and Prejudice remake. Yeah. We have The Penny Melter. Yeah. We have Boss of Me. We have Bad Girl by Night. This is a hot cops novel. I have Criminal Intentions. This is book 1 in a series. I have Love to Jingle You. This Christmas Obsession. I actually tried to read this during a road trip and I was just so, I didn't like it. I DNF'd it. So yeah. At His Mercy. I Never Planned on You. Regrets. Bittersweet Always. I really love this cover. It is so beautiful. But I'm not going to read it even though the cover is amazing. We have Devil Air. And I think this is a stepbrothers romance. Yeah, I think this is a stepsister romance, and I'm just not into that, so I'm not gonna read that. We have Bombshells, Love Unscripted, Nick and Noel's Christmas Playlist. I just feel like I'm so over Christmas books. I don't really celebrate Christmas, so I don't tend to like Christmas books. So I got rid of all of my Christmassy books. The Holiday Switch, A Season 4, Second Chance, American Royalty. I read this, I gave it 5 stars, but I don't see myself rereading it. And I think I got it, yeah, I got it signed and personalized to me. I have this duplicate copy of Colleen Hoover's All Your Perfects. I have Life's Too Short, You and Me on Vacation. This should go in the maybe pile because I haven't read this book yet, but I have the special edition copy of it and it looks exactly like this, but it's hardcover. But I tend to like to read paperback, so I think I'm going to put it in the maybe pile. The Wrong Mr. Darcy, This Time Next Year, Follow Me Darkly, Pride and Premeditation, The Christmas Dress, The Christmas Escape, The Summer of Broken Rules. I actually won this at a Polycon, and I haven't heard anything about this book, and I read it, and I'm just not interested in the synopsis at all, so yeah. We have Blame It on the Mistletoe, You, Me, and Baby, Grown Up Pose, 12 Dates of Christmas, Ice Planet Barbarians. I actually have already read this. I gave it 5 stars. I really loved it. But I'm not going to reread it, and I'm getting rid of this because I don't think I want to continue to collect the books. There's too many in the series, and I just don't want all of that on my bookshelf. We have Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This was a book club read that we all collectively DNF'd. We hated this book so much. I don't know why it's popular on Book Talk, but it was excruciating for me, and I just didn't like it. The Holiday Swap, The Love Hypothesis. I have this in paperback, so I'm getting rid of the duplicate hardcover. I have some like little mass market books. So let's see. We have Searching for Someday, Sailing at Sunset, The Me I Used to Be, Someday Soon. We have Beach Read by Emily Henry. Absolutely adored this book. I love it. 5 stars all the way. But like I said, I have the special edition from Illumicrate, so I have 3 books from them. Yeah, I have Book Lovers, The People We Meet on Vacation, and Beach Read. I have Bully by Penelope Douglas. I've already read this. I gave it 3 stars, so there's no point in keeping the book. I have another Tessa Dare book that I didn't see. So this one is The Scandalous, Dissolute, No Good Mr. Right. I have Never Fall for Your Fiancé. I think this is a recent book that I got, but I didn't realize that it was, and I don't know how I missed it. I didn't realize that it was like a historical romance. But like literally on the cover, they're like historical. Like, I don't know how I missed it, but after like looking at it, I was like, I can get rid of this. We have Adele, I Hate You More, and I'm gonna miss this little doggy right here, but I just don't have an interest in the plot. 10 Rules for Faking It, Happy Singles Day, Happy Endings. This is a signed copy that I found from Barnes & Noble, but I just don't have an interest in it anymore. We have One Day in December. I actually haven't heard good things about this book, so I don't want to read it anymore. How did I get beach read twice? I don't know how I got beach read twice. This is really weird. How? I don't know. I don't know how this happened, you guys. It happens a lot to me, actually. Okay, I have a duplicate copy of November 9th, The Love Scam, Troublemaker, The Virgin Gift. I don't tend to like romance books that kind of fetishizes virginity, so yeah, that's why I'm getting rid of this. The Mister and Fumble. Those are all of my romance books that I'm getting rid of. Next up, we're moving into middle grade, and we have quite a few of these, so yeah. Okay, you guys, so now we're going to head into my middle grade that I'm getting rid of. So to start off, I'm getting rid of my entire Nancy Drew collection. I am just going to hold up the stacks because I don't feel like you guys are really that interested in my Nancy Drew books. So here is the first set of Nancy Drew books that I'm getting rid of. Okay, here is the second set of Nancy Drew books, and here is the remaining Nancy Drew books. There are quite a There's a lot of them, and yeah. Okay, and with that same energy of getting rid of things that are nostalgia, I will be getting rid of all of my R.L. Stine books as well. So, getting rid of all of my Goosebumps books. I will go through these because it's not as many. So we have Return of the Mummy, The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena, The Scarecrow Walks at Midnight. This is a Horrorland book. We have Slappy New Year, Scream of the Haunted Mask, Goosebumps Most Wanted, The Hunter, Diary of a Dummy, Slappy Birthday to You, Ghost Beach, Why I'm Afraid of Bees, Egg Monsters from Mars, Night of the Living Dummy, Say Cheese and Die Again, Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, The Beast from the East, Say Cheese and Die. This is one of my favorites. We have Welcome to the Dead House. This is probably my favorite. We're gonna head into Fear Street. So I think this is a standalone. This is Broken Date. Okay, so now we're gonna head into my Fear Street books, which I will also be getting rid of. I think this would be classified as YA, but since I'm talking about R.L. Stine, just gonna do them now. So we have the Fear Street Saga, A New Fear, Who Killed the Homecoming Queen. This was one of my favorites. Have Hit and Run. I think this is a standalone. Curtains, The Dare, Babysitter, The Babysitter 3, Call Waiting, The Hitchhiker, The Face, Goodnight Kiss, Broken Heart, Halloween Night 2, Sunburn, Missing, The Surprise Party, The Confession, Wrong Number 2, and Halloween Night. Those are all of my R.L. Stine books. I'm also getting rid of some complete series. We have the Spiderwick Chronicles. I actually got this for a really good deal at a thrift store, and I thought, you know what, this will be really cool to read. I'm into middle grade. I don't see myself actually reading this, and I need to return them to the thrift store. Another book series that I am getting rid of is Percy Jackson. This has been on my bookshelf since I started reading. I never read them, and I watched the movies. I feel like that's good enough. I just was not a Percy Jackson kid. I was a Harry Potter kid, and so this is just gonna go, you know, somewhere else. Since I'm getting rid of the original Percy Jackson books, I will also be getting rid of the spin-off series. I haven't read any of these, so yeah. So we have The Blood of Olympus, The Mark of Athena, The Lost Hero, The Serpent's Shadow, The Throne of Fire, and The Red Pyramid. Yeah, these are different spin-off series. So yeah. Another series I'm getting rid of is Anne of Green Gables. Once again, I saw these at the thrift store and I was able to get all of them and I thought it was cute. But I'm not going to read these books, and so they need to go back to the thrift store as well. Another book series, same thing. This is the Chronicles of Narnia. I was not even a Narnia kid. I watched the movie, but I never read the books. So yeah. Okay, so I will also be getting rid of my Miss Peregrine's books. I read the first one and I really liked it. I watched the movie, but I just don't feel like I want to continue on with the series. So I will be getting rid of these as well. Then I'm going to get rid of Dear Martin by Nick Stone. I really love this book, 5 stars. I think it's phenomenal. However, I don't see myself rereading this one. I have Tristan Strong Keeps Punching. So I actually have a duplicate copy of this. For some reason, Barnes & Noble sent me 2 of them when I ordered it. So getting rid of this one. Then I have this random spy school book. I don't even know what this series is about, but I'm getting rid of this as well. So it's Evil Spy School. And I have a random Rick Riordan book as well. This is Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. Yeah. Okay, so next up we have my YA books. We're gonna start with The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. I believe this is a series that I'm just not really invested in, so yeah. I have Tell Me How You Really Feel. I actually just got this randomly on Pango, so I haven't heard anything about the series, and yeah. Next up we have The Holloway Girls. This was actually a DNF for me. It's a thriller, but I couldn't get into it. I feel like it's a little bit on the earlier YA side and I just couldn't get into it. So yeah. Next up we have a signed first edition of Felix Ever After. I actually did read this book. I think it's phenomenal. 5 stars all the way, but I don't see myself rereading it. I just think it looks so beautiful, the cover and the fact that it's signed. I want to keep it so bad, but like it needs to go. Okay, so next up we have 2 Angie Thomas books. We have The Hate You Give and On the Come Up. I actually read The Hate You Give. I gave it 5 stars, but I don't see myself rereading it and I actually need to watch the movie now. And On the Come Up, I don't really like books that follow music or bands, so I don't have an interest in reading this one. And then I also have Let Me Hear a Rhyme by Tiffany D. Jackson. For the same reason, I will be getting rid of this. I will also be getting rid of the prequel to The Hate You Give. This is Concrete Rose. I also read this. I gave it 5 stars as well, but I don't see myself rereading it. I have Anna and the French Kiss. I have the collector's edition of this book, so I don't really need the paperback copy. Then we have Frankly in Love. I just don't think I will ever get to this book, so I will be getting rid of this. The Sullivan Sisters, I received this in a book box, and I just don't have an interest in reading it. We have A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow. Such a beautiful cover, but yet I haven't picked it up, so I think I just really need the space on my bookshelf now. Then we have Girls with Sharp Sticks. This cover just makes me so happy to see. I really don't want to get rid of this, but I just haven't picked it up and it's been on my shelf for probably a few years, so it really needs to go. Then I have Good Girl Bad Blood. This is book 3 in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I absolutely love that series, and you guys know I told you earlier that I have the paperback of the first book and then I have the hardcover of the 3rd book. I just don't like that type of like randomness. And I actually have finished the series, so I don't need to reread it. I just really love it, so I'm getting rid of this. I'm also getting rid of My Plain Jane. This is a series that I just don't see myself really investing in right now, so getting rid of this as well. Next up we have The Duff by Cody Keplinger. I actually watched the movie of this and I really liked it, and I just don't feel the need to read the book anymore, so getting rid of this. We have 5 Feet Apart. I think I'm just going to watch the movie for this one. It's kind of an older YA story, so I just feel like I could just watch the movie now. Then we have one of my favorite YA books of all times. This is Ace of Spades. I love this book so much. It's an amazing thriller. I don't see myself rereading it. If it was part of a series, I would definitely keep it, but it is a standalone and I don't see myself rereading it. But I definitely highly recommend it to literally everyone. Next up we have Dear Evan Hansen. This is also a movie that is currently out, so I would just be watching the movie instead of reading the book. Yeah. We have Most Likely. I also received this in a book box, but I don't really have an interest in reading it, so I'm getting rid of it. Finally, we have Jackpot by Nick Stone. Yeah, I just don't see myself getting to this, so getting rid of this one as well. Okay, you guys, we are down to our last genre, which is fantasy. This might be the biggest amount of books that I have because it's my favorite genre besides thrillers. Okay, so first one we have is The Rules of Magic. I think this might be a sequel to Practical Magic, and I don't have that one. I haven't read it yet, so I'll just watch the movie. Okay, we have The 1,000th Floor by Katharine McGee. I feel like this is another series that I don't have the remaining of the books, and I don't want to get them, so I'm gonna get rid of them. Then we have Shiver by Maggie's Stepdaughter. Yeah, I just have the first book, and I think it's a series, and same thing. We have Dreams Lie Beneath by Rebecca Ross. I think this came in a book box. Yeah, it came in an owl crate, and it's a signed edition. Then we have The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin. I keep buying this book and then not reading it. This is the second time I bought the book. So I just gotta make sure I don't buy it a third time. Okay, so I have this series of Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake. I got a hardcover and a paperback edition, and I can't live with that on my bookshelf. It has to be either both hardcovers or both paperbacks. I just don't like the unorganization. I don't like it. Next up, we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I don't like circuses, so I don't have an interest in this, but I know that it's super popular on BookTube and Book Talk, but I don't see myself liking a book about a circus. Yeah. And then I got this book by Kira Cass. It's called The Betrayed and the Betrothed. I just don't see myself picking these up as well. I've had them on my shelf for quite some time, and I think it's time to make room. Yeah. I will be getting rid of the entire Truth Witch series. I feel like this is a series that just continuously come out with new books every year, and I'm someone who likes to have the entire series before I start to read, and I just don't feel like continuously buying this book anymore. So we have Truth Witch, Wind Witch, Blood Witch, Witch Shadow, and Sight Witch. I am in love with this cover, and I really hate to get rid of this one, but I don't want to keep the entire series just for this one book. So Stormbringer by Isabel Cooper. I believe this is a signed edition. Yeah, there's a signed book plate in here. I just feel like I'm never gonna get to this book, and it's been on my shelf for a while, so it needs to go. Then I found this at a thrift store. I heard that Brent Weeks was like a really big fantasy author trying to get into more fantasy books, but it doesn't look appealing to me, and I just don't have an interest in it, so I'm gonna get rid of these. Same thing with Patrick Rothfuss's The Name of the Wind. I just don't see myself reading this. It just kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones, how the covers just look really boring. But I also watch the show, and I think the show is really boring as well. But, I mean, that's just me. Then I have duplicate copies of these books by Marie Lu. I have The Young Elites and The Rose Society. I think I have them in hardcover now, so I'm getting rid of the paperback editions. And somehow I ended up with 2 editions of Ready Player One and Ready Player Two, and I just don't see myself like reading this anymore. I feel like I watched the movie and that's good enough. But yeah, I don't personally care what happens in the sequel. I don't even think it would probably be good, and I haven't heard anything about book 2, so I'm just gonna get rid of this. I have The Weight of a Soul by Elizabeth Tammy. I know nothing about this book. I think I got it in a book box. It's really cute, but I'm not interested in it. So and I will be getting rid of my Graceland series. I have I think the first 3 books. I think there's more in this series. First up, we have Graceling, we have Fire and Bitter Blue. I have a duplicate copy of Vampire Academy. I'm currently doing a reading vlog where I read all of the books in this series before watching the new show, but this is a duplicate copy, so I'm getting rid of this. I have another duplicate copy, which is The Diviners. I actually have this in hardcover now, but this is by Libba Bray. Then we have The Deceivers. I actually heard about this book because it was like an older book of the month edition, and I really, really wanted it, but I'm not gonna get to it. Then we have Every Day by David Levithan. I have a duplicate copy of War Girls by Toshi Onyebuchi. I am in love with this cover. I can't wait to read the series, but I do have 2 exact copies of this. I have another paperback, so getting rid of this one. I have another duplicate of Warcross. I have the entire series in hardcover as well. I don't know how I got another copy, but this is Warcross. Then I have Persephone Station by Stina Leach. I was super excited to get this. However, I actually read the summary and I'm like, this doesn't seem like something I'm interested in. So I'm getting rid of this. But yeah, City Upstairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is an older YA book, and I just kind of feel like the time has passed for me to read this. We have Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater. I think this is a spin-off of the Raven Cycle. I have the Raven Cycle, but I haven't read all of the series yet, so I don't feel like I'm going to invest in the spin-off series until I've read the original series. We have An Unkindness of Ghosts by Rivers Solomon. I recently read another book by Rivers Solomon and I really didn't enjoy it, so I don't really want to invest in another book by them. If so, I'll just read the Kindle version from my library. Then we have The Lost Queen by Signe Pike. This is an older YA fantasy book. I was super excited about this one, but I just kind of feel like I haven't heard much about it, and I feel like there's so many other like newer fantasy books that I really want to get to that I just don't have the time to read this one right now. Then we have A Great and Terrible Beauty by Liva Bray. I remember going to Barnes & Noble on like a shopping spree, and an associate actually told me to get this and I just bought it, but I have no idea what this book is about. So I'm getting rid of it. We have another Maggie Stiefvater book. This is Call Down the Hawk. I think this is a spin-off of the Raven Cycle, same issue. I haven't finished that series yet. Then we have Beautiful Creatures. I just recently found out that this is a series and I don't have the remaining of the books and I don't feel like I want to get them, so I'm getting rid of this book. And we have The Conductors by Nicole Glover. I actually got this in an unplugged book box and I was super excited, but I am not someone who's really into historical fiction and I don't really want to read a fictional book about, I think it's about slavery. Yeah, this is the Underground Railroad. I don't want to read a fantasy book about the Underground Railroad. I don't. Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. Then we have The Beautiful by Renee Attier. This is actually a duplicate copy. I had a friend to come from Boston and she actually brought me the special edition copies of the entire series. So I'm getting rid of my paperback, but I'm super excited to read the series. Then I have The Cart of Miracles. I actually haven't heard good things about this series, so I don't feel like I want to invest in reading it right now. Then we have A Discovery of Witches. This is actually a series. This is book 1. Yeah, I don't want to read it right now. Then we have Bloodleaf. I don't remember where I got this book. I have no idea how this got on my shelf, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Okay, next up we have Girl Serpent Thorn. This is a Book of the Month edition. My friend actually brought me another special edition version of this, so I'm getting rid of my copy. Then we have A Curse of Roses. I don't really know what this one is about, but I'm not invested in it. And this one's gonna hurt, but Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. I've had this on my shelf for a few years and I just haven't picked it up, so I feel like I'm probably not going to read it, so I'm getting rid of it. Then we have A Shadow in the Amber. This is a Polycon edition version of this book, and I actually have my version, which is personalized to me, and then I got a second one because I went with my fiance and he got a copy, so I'm getting rid of this one. And then this one's hurting. This one is gonna hurt as well because I love this book. It's one of my favorite sci-fi books of all time. This is Slay by Brittany Morris. I wish I could keep this, but I've kind of made a promise to myself that I'm not going to keep books that I've read already. But like, I love this book so much. Please read it. It's so good. Next up, I'm getting rid of Fable and Namesake. I actually tried reading Fable, I think last year, and I ended up DNFing it. And I legit only got this book set so that I could do this on my shelf. And I just don't feel like that's a good enough reason to buy books. But it's so pretty. Okay. We have Gear Breakers. Yeah. Finally, we have Mind Games. This was also a book that was a older Book of the Month edition for when they had the YA box. But I'm never going to get to this. I had this for quite some time. So, yeah. Okay, so that was all of the books that I am planning on unhauling. I believe we should be at 300 or 400. I'm actually going to tally up everything, come back and tell you exactly how many books I will be giving away. This is insane, but it's definitely over 300 already. Wow. So stay tuned for the results. Okay, you guys, I am back to tell you exactly how many books I am getting rid of in this unhaul. So I'm getting rid of a total of 391 books. And to make it more specific, I'm getting rid of 8 nonfiction books, 21 special edition / signed books, 40 contemporary, and in this I included historical fiction, literary fiction, all of that, 44 thrillers, 79 romance, 120 middle grade, 21 young adult, and 58 fantasy books. That was a lot. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like my content, please consider hitting the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to be notified whenever I post. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.